for our Late IHP Part 2, Relationships, No Drama. That is all of our relationships. So when you are a whole 3-year-old heart and you are securely attached, that means that every relationship from the minute you are self-empowered, which means that you are able to fully, always complete and show up to anyone and anything and in any scenario. You have equanimity. It's called being a functional adult. It's called integration of the brain. It's called restorative embodied self. It's called a person who feels at ease. You don't need to be in a spirituality or any of that, no. But there has a journey for your lovely physiology. We're not going to get into that right now. So again, every relationship for a whole 3-year-old heart is an opportunity because they have found their way back home through good childhood trauma experts or through organically working to become a mature emotional adult thanks to the relationship. So our oversoul is family always. In fact, we can learn very easily to have rest and rejuvenation and renewal, because if you are unconditionally loving each other, that means you're not actually thinking of your own emotional needs. And so what I mean is you're not like, you have to show up all the time. So you don't need, for example, an attachment therapist or a person to explain to you how to use a script with a partner. If, on the other hand, you do need that, I was watching this lovely lady, and there's another couple of them, but I prefer Terry Real. Terry Real is a therapist, and he has, I think it's called something relational. So his modality is to share with every person, okay, you have a 3-year-old, you have an inner child, basically, and your partner is in here to fix you. And here's why: for the mononormative people, the monoamory, monogamy people, he will be great and dandy. For polyamory, on the other hand, obviously, he's sharing and teaching you with the basis of monogamy, but of course, you can apply anything you learn about becoming a functional adult to your polyamory dynamic. And that's because it's really about, as he explains, healthy self-worth, which is a word we've been using. I know it just as self-empowerment, as a person has their own feminine in their body and their masculine in their brain, and being able to just consistently do direct communication. So I tell you what I'm all about. In fact, the future and bringing yourself forth in the future is not problematic. You're not lost. In fact, you don't need to find your way to the fates. You don't need an entity, if you will. There's an inner calling, there's an inner knowing that navigates treasures that you hold within. But this is only once you have found yourself, which means that whole 3-year-old heart. Now that means you're out of stagnation. So life isn't boring. Life isn't a conflict. Life is not something you're like, oh my gosh, I can't handle my life or my relationships. They're all, So the teenagers, it's unfair, or people who it's unfair. Now, I want to say something before we keep moving forward. Individuals who have had childhood trauma, they get to go through a healing journey with good therapists. The good therapists see them as whole, and they will in fact share, hey, here's your attachment category. It's not fixed. It's a verb. Your states of self actually go through, if you want, a transformation. But we need to figure out what your window of tolerance is. It's kind of like when you learn a language. So I'm bilingual, but I also learned foreign languages. And some people, they have a very challenging time learning languages. I, on the other hand, have a challenging time with math. So if I'm watching a video, I get it. Once the video's done, I'm like, what? I just lost it again. And I get very frustrated because my brain's it's like a motor. I'm in overdrive and I get so frustrated. I'm my 3-year-old again. And I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to stay ignorant because it's too hard for me and I don't want to figure it out. But really what it is I have not found somebody who helped me or can help me and can figure out how my brain works to support me. Now, there is one guy I have been wanting to purchase his courses, for example, but it's not a priority to learn how to figure out math. Why? Because I know the basics of math. So I put it on the back burner. However, here's where math, for me at least, is very different because it's a subject matter. But if I think of relationships and of your embodied brain and your nervous system, and that trauma is relational and intimacy is at the core, and that human suffering stems because you have a defectiveness, shame, broken 3-year-old heart due to a number of potential reasons, and that you can heal that trauma, you can heal that unresolved, very, very uncomfortable heartbreak, self-loathing, and more. Now, this is why we want more of those who are the 5D mystics, enlightenment, and functional adults. We want people who are, I'm compassionate towards all. So I'm not going to say like me because I'm not the only one. All the great therapists that I have done trauma educational certificate courses with, Peter Levine, Bezel van der Kolk, I don't know them, but they're in my courses. Daniel Siegel, Ruth Lanius, Pat Ogden. There's also Ron Siegel, I believe is his name, I'm thinking. But there's just so many names that I will not be able to remember all. Stephen Porges. I love my lovely Somatopia with Dr. Albert Wong and my teacher Sue Martin. And then there was a whole heap of other teachers. My embodied philosophy course with a lot of other teachers. My one that I remember is Chris, if I remember correctly, his first name. I don't remember his last name. So they teach us about the importance. Terry Real, don't let me not forget about Terry. And let me not forget about Patrick Tiahan. But Patrick Tiahan, I know his community, and I know of him from on YouTube. And he's awesome. And the latest, she's a person who went to a therapist and shares with us what a good therapist is, which is completely in accordance with what I've learned so far and what anyone who has gone through childhood trauma therapy. So EMDR, a therapist that sees you as whole and holds space for your child self, and then also somatics, so you can rework your nervous system and get to regulation. So all these lovely people share one thing, all of them, that you and I are verbs, meaning our states of self, our charges, our nervous system, our embodied brain is able to move towards your birthright, my birthright as people, restorative embodied self. So if you want those ancient texts, go for it. But if you want to have heaven in your body, well, you can do, of course, yoga, like Sadhguru and all of what he shares. I've done his inner engineering, I've done his yoga of grace, I've done his Shambhavi Kriya. But everything that is yoga, thank you, Stephen Porges, is basically supporting you because it's a ventral vagal portfolio of nervous system exercises, or a ventral vagal nervous system portfolio of exercises. Thank you, Daniel Siegel. Mindfulness, mindfulness, meditation, and compassionate interventions. And everything that is within meditation are participant to the 3 pillars of your mind and my mind. They help you to strengthen focus. They help you to be open and aware of yourself. And then they help you to set those compassionate intentions. And all of these 3 together grow your corpus callosum, which connects your left and right mode. And that left is the chit-chatter, the masculine of your brain, and the right is where you can sit with A and B that contradict each other, and they can just sit there and you'll be happily ever after if you're an adult. If you're a teenager, not so much. And if you got emotions coming up that you don't know, no, I don't like that, you're not going to be handling your right mode. You're going to do structural dissociation, or you're going to do other stuff. So here's where it grows the corpus callosum that connects the brain, the hippocampus, which is your memory center, the prefrontal cortex, and the connectome, which helps you to integrate. So on that note, relationships, they support us when we have unconditionally loving people in our life. The adults who can say, you're whole and I'm whole, and that's FYI, a good therapist sees you as infinite possibility, which is also a Zen master, which is also a person who just says, all of those relationships, whether monoamory or polyamory, are here to give us the opportunity to expand, to become our own self and grow up. Relationships, trauma is relational, intimacy is the core. So first it's here intimacy, And then it's with you and I, and we can have love always. So tune in for more, The Human Love Narrative. Have a great day.